Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. If you're drawing this Santa, I assume your family celebrates Christmas. So, to do Santa some justice, I actually colored him with crayons, but this red in a crayon just doesn't get as deep, so I used an oil pastel for the red. But for his face, I just used crayons, and I used Sharpie for the black. Okay? I think you probably have all of those. If you just use a crayon, it just won't be as dark of a red, but it'll still turn out great. Okay, let's get started. I want you to grab a pencil only, and then you can trace it later on with ink or how you want to color it. But I've got to go ahead and start with ink so you can see this again. So we're going to start up at the top. We're going to put the fluffy part of his hat in. Now remember, we want it to look like it's going around his head, so we need a little bit of a curve. But we also want to make it look like it is made out of fabric that's fur. So I'm just going to make a kind of a curvy line for the edges of the hat. And then when you're putting this part in, you want it to have a little bit of a curve up so that it looks like it's going around his head. See that? And then this one too. It doesn't need to be regular because remember it's fur, so it actually looks better if it's not all exactly the same. So that's the fur to his hat. Now, to get the rest of his face in, it's easier if we just go ahead and put his nose and eyes in first and then put his beard around it. So for his nose, you couldn't do just an oval, but I'm going to do just kind of an open nose like this. So if you look at it, it's pretty much in the middle. This is the bottom of the nose, and this is where it attaches. And a lot of people just draw an oval. So if that's easy for you, I want him to look like he has little pink cheeks, and I want him to look like he's kind of round in the face. So we're going to do eyes that kind of go around his cheeks. So you start with two curves like this. That will give me those eyes. In fact, if you wanted, you could just put little wrinkles on the side and it would be like laughing eyes. But if you want to open his eyes, then towards the center, you're going to make another curve. It doesn't have to be real tall because he doesn't have real big eyes because he's always laughing, which makes your eyes look a little smaller. So I want to add the pupil in first, nice and big, like this, with a little highlight up at the top, and then just a teeny bit of a corner of the blue part of his eyes. Now, when you get to coloring, you can do this later, but I just want you to see it so it makes sense to you. That's the pupil, and the little white spot up at the top is a highlight or a twinkle in Santa's eyes. Now, you can leave his eyebrows off, but I kind of like them to look like he's got big, bushy eyebrows. So I kind of put some in like this. But if you don't like those, you could just make a curve or just leave them off. That would be fine. So now you've got his little cute face in. We need to get his mustache in. And if you start right under his nose with a little V shape, it will make sense in a minute. This is where his mustache is going to go from large to skinny. So we're going to curve up and to the side, and then up and to the side. Now you want to look at this and see if both sides look similar. And then without touching in the middle, you drop down, make a little dot here, and then it's just a curve to the point. So just curve to the point and curve to the point. And that is his mustache. Okay. Once you've got his mustache in, the beard is fine. And remember, this is Santa, so he can have a small beard, a huge beard, whatever you decide you want to do. But you definitely want him to look like he's happy. So we put a little smile in here. If you put a second curve in that does not touch the upper one, it'll look like the bottom of his lip and his mouth is smiling even more. I like that little added detail. I'll show it to you here and you'll see it. I think that looks cute. Okay, so now we want to try to make his beard symmetrical. So I'm going to start with a big fat beard curve here and a fat beard here. And then how many curves you put on the right, maybe put them on the left. It doesn't have to be super symmetrical because it is a beard. And you can kind of decide how full you want it. You can see mine isn't like perfect, but it's a nice full beard. This one I think is even longer. Okay, let's get his hat in. We start here, and it's going to fold over and come out the other side. So we go from small to larger. And then this is where it just kind of curves into his hat, because this is where it folded over. And at the end, if you did the snowman, we're just going to make a nice pom-pom by not showing all the edges, just showing the fluffiness of it. Now, the key to making Santa look good is he's got to be chubby. So whatever you do, don't make him a skinny Santa. So you want to make the next two lines, you got to leave room for his arm socket. That's where his arm attaches to his body. So you want to come out kind of wide for his body. Notice I'm coming out rather wide because this is Santa. Okay. And then what I want to do is I would just want to put in the inside arm line. So I'm just going to go out and then back in. This is the inside line. Out and then back in. Now, what happens a lot of times, people make his arms too skinny. We don't give him much of a neck. Just because he's chubby, he will look chubbier if you don't give him a little skinny neck going with it. So we actually put his shoulders in and no neck because you can't really see it. It's under his beard anyway. So right here, we're going to add the cuff. And here's where you want to make sure you don't make little skinny arms. So you're adding that fluffy fur on the cuff at an angle kind of wide. And then look at these and see if they look similar. And then this is what you're going to do. You're going to start up here where the beard is, at the same spot on each side. You're going to come out with nice wide arms. Okay? Get down to about where the elbow is. Come a little further because you want this part to be wide too. Okay? Nice wide arms. And then bring it in. And there you go, is his arms. Nice and cute. Okay, because I'm not doing any erasing in this, I can't put the belt in and then put the belt buckle on because the lines will overlap. So I'm going to go right through the middle here and make myself a rectangle with a rectangle inside. And then a little tiny V for the metal part of the belt. Now, we want him to look round, so you don't want a straight one. You got to make sure it curves around his body and curves around his body. Then I'm going to just go ahead and put the belt in first. Now, the coat is going to cover his bum, so his legs will look a little bit short. But before I do so, it'll be easier if I put on his hands now. We're just going to give him nice big gloves, so a giant U that doesn't go all the way back, so more of a J shape. A giant U that doesn't go all the way back. And then what you want to do is put on a big thumb. And the thumb should always be on the inside because your thumbs are closest to your body in any drawing. Now, if I could erase, I would erase that little line there and there. But since his gloves are going to be black, I'll just chalk them in later. Okay, now we want him to look round, right? So the bottom of his coat would go behind the gloves and come down. And behind the gloves and come down. And then this part would be curved. So you would have a curved line here. If you use your pencil like this, it's a lot easier to remember to make the fur in a curve like that. So I take my pencil, I make both lines and come across here, and then I make this part. Now, I made him so tall that he's going to have the shortest legs in the world. But you don't have to make yours as tall as me. You also could just put on boots right here, and he would be adorable. But I'm just going to show a little bit of legs here, just the bottom of his legs, like this. Okay? And then I'm going to make his legs kind of wide. So I've got 4 lines here. And then I need to add the fur on the bottom of his pants. He is a short little Santa. Okay, so these are his legs, and these are going to be his boots. So straight down, straight down. Follow me with this, and you'll see how I'm going to do these. Straight across, straight across. Take a little tiny, make sure the heel isn't too skinny. You don't want him to look like he has high heels. So a nice wide heel. and then a little V, and a little V. And then you're just going to continue parallel with the bottom of the page, like that. And once you get past here, then you can add the toe on. So you have to get past the fur. So there's the fur, there's the fur. And then all I'm going to do here is just make a curve and a curve. Simple way to make his boots. So check out this guy. You can see they're both a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and put some fur coming down the front of his coat, like this. You could add little buttons there, like I did on this one. It's up to you. And there he is. We're missing one line, and that is to decide where his cheeks are here. So I'm just going to go a little bit into that curve, and then a little bit into that curve. And that's his little face popping out. And here he is, all nice and colored. Anyway, hope you like drawing Santa this year. Remember, if you reduce him, he makes great gift cards that you could add to all your presents. Just print them on your computer after you're done with him. Okay, have a nice Christmas. Talk to you soon.